Friday, body language, and today's video is about the eyes, lies and the truth. Anyway, I just wanted to explain where this set of ideas about eyes, eye direction, truth, I want to explain about where these ideas have come from and how valuable, how useful, or sometimes not useful they are. You'll see this image on the internet a lot. It's not entirely bullshit, but there are a couple of things that have been added to it that don't need to be there. So ignore this image. This is the one you want to look at. So where do we get this image, this information from? The more reliable one. A 1977 study by a guy called Robert Dilts is responsible for this idea about eyes, their movement, and your thought patterns. Now you're going to see the word NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, all over this study and this information. Neuro-Linguistic Programming was developed through the 70s and 80s, and now in the modern world, as we understand more about how the brain really works, Neuro-Linguistic Programming is not really considered to be particularly valid by the general scientific community. But let's not let the discreditation of neuro-linguistic programming discredit this study. This study has been conducted with people from all over the world, all different cultures, races. It's a cross-humanity study, repeated in the 70s, repeated again in the 70s, repeated by different groups in the 70s, and again in the 80s. So it's been tried and tested. The basic premise and construct of this study: participants were asked questions to prompt them to think about things, and then their brain activity and eye movement was measured. So this experiment and its results are consistently reproducible across the entire spectrum of humanity. It's a valid experiment with valid results. It's also worth noting that even today, we don't know what all of the brain does, how it all works, and we've probably only reached the tip of the iceberg when it comes to neurological understanding. So in the study, people were asked things like, think of the colour of your car. What kind of pattern is on your bedspread? Think of the last time you saw someone running. Who were the first 5 people you saw this morning? They're all examples of visual remembering. And as you can see by the diagram, that's an upper right eye movement. Examples of audio memory would include, can you think of one of your favourite songs? Think of the sound of clapping. How does your car's engine sound? And of course, then you remember things that you have heard. The interesting opposite, I'm going to use the word opposite, it's not a true opposite, but the interesting opposite is the audio construction would be, imagine the sound of a train's whistle changing into the sound of pages turning. Can you hear the sound of a saxophone and the sound of your mother's voice at the same time? When you go through these processes, you use your imagination to construct what you would imagine the sound to sound like. You imagine things. That's construction. So we've got a difference here between remembering something that you actually heard and constructing what you might imagine something might sound like. And again, I'll point out, this experiment is repeatable, it's valid. So people do tend to do these sort of things with their eyes when they're going through these mental processes. It's also worth noting, not everyone will look to the upper right every time they remember something visual. The brain is a complex thing. Eye movements, body language are also complex and multifaceted. This isn't a foolproof 100% guarantee that if somebody looked up and right, they're remembering something visual. They could just be looking at something in the upper right corner of the room. If people are left-handed, their brain activity may be mirrored, and they may look the opposite direction for each of these signals. When you're conducting body language analysis, you don't have all of the facts, and you certainly don't take one cue or one eye movement and base your whole assessment on that. The interesting thing here is that this is not a study in truth-telling or lying. It's a study in memory and imagination. And it was conducted in the mid-70s. So roll on 30 or 40 years, and a sort of mythologized idea has come and been reported and re-reported by many different people over the years. They've come up with this idea that if you look left or right, then it might indicate that you're lying or telling the truth. Now, the original study never claimed that. It's only the reporting and re-reporting of this study and people's claims that they can use it to analyse lies from truth. It's only through that process that the myth that you can find out whether someone's telling the truth or lying by looking at which direction their eyes move has come up. So this article claims to bust the myth. And I totally agree with this article. You can't tell if someone's lying or telling the truth, depending on whether they're looking left or right. But no one ever claimed you could in the original scientific studies. So it's a bit of a straw man. And this article also goes on to attack neurolinguistic programming, an easy soft target. So do I use this to assess whether someone's lying or deceiving or giving me a truthful answer? Well, yes. I look to see whether they're using their honest memory, things they've seen, things they've heard, or to see whether their brain is in a process of construction. Now, construction doesn't mean a lie. There are different reasons for constructing a narrative or an idea, for thinking about how something sounds or looks. But if someone's giving me an answer from their memory, the way they saw something, the way they remember seeing something, the things they remember hearing, then these IQs may give that away. When you're reading body language, you're looking to construct a whole story, a case. You're not looking for one quick movement that shows up the truth or a lie. It's not like a flag goes up or a light goes on. You look for lots of different tells, and you build up a case or you build up a picture of how you believe the information is being imparted and where it's coming from, and the person's intent when delivering it. Just at the end of this video, I'd like to show you a couple of interesting things, which is a company in America who claims to be able to give you a lie detection through an MRI scan. They themselves confess that their system is not 100% accurate, and that the complexity of the brain and its processes make it impossible to assert that one area lighting up equals a lie or the truth. But they're happy to take people's money. If you want to find out more about this sort of stuff, then you can't get a degree in body language. There isn't one. You can study psychology, as I have done.